I am a fool. That is one thing for certain.
Happy Monday, guys. I'm trying to trace my. I'm looking back and forth between a couple screens, trying to see if I can put my eyes at the right camera. So I'm going to share with you guys a story I had from this weekend, and then we'll pull cards. I'm going to start doing cards every day. And then we'll go over kind of the group consciousness on the grand scheme. So this grand scheme I'll probably refer to every once in a while, and we can always work within how we're seeing our environment on a day-to-day basis and compare it to the overall grand scheme of what everybody's going through, because this is part of a larger evolutionary process. So always think of it on the bigger in the bigger picture, and it'll get you to a place of peace where you'll be a lot more trusting of the decisions you're making and understand that you're just kind of moving forward in this evolutionary process. So I'm kind of stuffed up because I went rafting this last weekend. Went down the White Salmon. It's at South Central Washington. It's a tributary that comes out of the south side of Mount Adams. You guys feel free to look it up. I'll edit Husum Falls. Husum Falls, there's a couple of outfitters there, commercial outfitters. And this time of year, they generally don't run Husum Falls because if the water's, I think, over 2.5, they won't run it. There's just too much. There's too much of a hydraulic there. And there's just a big hole at the bottom of this waterfall. And there's a rock about, I'd say 25 feet off the base of this waterfall that you can't see. It's underwater. The only reason I know it's there is because I've glanced off it before. But so this water goes down and it creates this big recirc pool. And so when there's too much water, it'll pull you down deeper and you'll be underwater for an extended amount of time. And so commercial outfitters won't take the public through there because the general public, there'll just be more drownings. There are people that'll panic if they're underwater too long, and then they suck in water, and then it's too hard to get them out because there's not an easy place to pull people out of the water. You got to wait till they float down a little ways, and the current won't necessarily take them to an easy spot. So you have to be able to swim out of there. Well, a friend of mine wanted to go down, and I wasn't super jacked about going down it. It was about 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and so we got close to it, and me and another guy were in a smaller raft, and he and his girlfriend were in a larger raft, and he's like, we're going over it. And I'd already skipped going over the other waterfall because it had another recirc pool next to it, and I'd already seen him get caught in it, and it didn't look right to me. I was like, I don't want to go through that. But I've been over Husum before, and I was like, all right, we'll go over Husum. I don't care. So, but the raft we were in, I'd never been in this raft before going over Husum, and it's a small Rocky Mountain, an R&R raft, and it's heavy for its size. It's like a 9-foot raft. So two of us are in this 9-foot raft. He goes through first, and he makes it out okay. It's a pretty steep drop, and you just drop right into a hole. And when we went over it, we nailed it. We went straight down. But the problem was we were leaning back and grabbing handles in the boat to stay in the boat, but we hit it so perfectly that normally that would be fine, but it just rocked back just like that because all of our weight was in the back of the boat. So it hit the water and just went like that and just dumped us right out of the back. Because if you're already leaning in the back, it's just going to pull you right out of the back of the boat. And so, it felt like, it went down the hole, and then all of a sudden the boat just disappeared underneath me, and then I'm in the water. And I'm so congested because we dropped right in the center of that hole, right underneath where the water's at. And so it just pushed you straight to the bottom of that hole. And it felt like if any of you guys have ever been on the tarmac in where airplanes are taking off, that rumbling noise, that just like that, and the force of everything, it's just pressure. So it immediately fills your whole head with water. And then you just hold your breath and you wait and see when you're going to get spit out. And I can't remember how. I think it took at least 15 to 20 seconds for me to get to where my head was above water. But the boat popped up and it just sat there next to the waterfall. It took a while for the boat to actually come out. Me and the other guy came out. He sucked in water, so he drank a little water. I was running out of oxygen. And so, I had a little bit of premonition before going over this. It's like, there's going to be a lesson to learn here, right? And it's just like, really didn't want to go over it, but, it was almost like peer pressure and a combination of, well, it feels like I'm supposed to go over this guy. He wanted to go over with me. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like instant cold where, and it's an experience where you don't have control, right? When you drop into something like that, you don't have any control where you're coming up. So panicking is the worst thing you can do in a lack of control situation. And there's a higher spiritual meaning behind that, right? You don't ever trying to control the people around you. All you can do is trust and have faith and just let go. And that will take you out of a panic condition. Whenever you're trying to control and it's like, I want this, you're in a panic mode. And so you really, all the best swimmers and Coast Guard swimmers understand this, that they teach panic. Panic is what kills you. If you can hold your breath for a long time, as long as you don't panic. But if you're panicking, rational thought goes out the window, and that's what kills you in any kind of survival situation is panic. And I'm not gonna lie. By the time I was running out of breath, and I was starting to get a little bit agitated because I could not tell when I was gonna pop out of the water. You're just in a foam pool with a life jacket, that doesn't have much buoyancy because it's all foam. So think about that in your own life. Where are you at right now in your own life? Are you panicking? When you're panicking, you're in a place of lack. You really have to come to a place of peace and understand that your needs are being met no matter what. And I just made a karma video for you to watch, but any external validation that you're trying to get will always put you in a state of lack, because you're always fulfilled from the inside out. Nothing out there can make you happy unless you have already found a place of peace and happiness from the inside. It's the most profound understanding of life if you can get to that place where it doesn't matter. There's nothing out there that can upset your chi. Then you'll live a life of abundance, and it won't have anything to do with money or any kind of external reality. It'll always be how you're just spreading your own joy to the other people, because then you can do that, right? So let's draw some cards. Let's see before I draw cards, I want to talk about the overall picture of what we're going through. So that is the overall picture we're going to, is people to find that place of peace. But we're seeing society break down because people are tired of these systems, right? You have control versus people that don't want to control. So everyone in society that's trying to control their external reality are unknowingly unable to control their internal reality, right? That's the actual evolutionary process that we're going through, is the ability to have faith and let go of control. So all of those people, let's say we'll call them the powers that be, that have been trying to control this external reality for the past thousands of years, have pushed those control mechanisms so far that society's breaking down. Think about how many laws are on the books and how many things that you're being told what to do, and it's being pushed into every section of society. I was in a meeting with somebody that from a university that was doing work for universities, and universities right now are trying to find ways to keep marketing and attracting more students, because students are realizing that the skills that they're picking up in college aren't preparing them for the work environments. You have to be able to get along with other people, and in order to do that, you have to have joy inside. If you're constantly trying to control the people outside of you, let's say all these other movements, it doesn't matter what kind of movement it is, feminist movements or any kind of movement where you're pointing the blame at somebody else for the way you feel. If If you're ever pointing the blame at somebody else for the way you feel, you're trying to control your external reality instead of understanding that you control how you feel. You are the only one that has control over that, nobody else. And until over 50% of the public as soon as the 50% of the public start to realize this, we're going to see a massive metamorphosis in our evolutionary reality. This is the number one teaching that everybody needs to be teaching, and you don't really hear it that much. You hear laws of abundance, right? And meditation techniques to just create more abundance, but nobody's actually really giving you the honest truth of what abundance is. Abundance is in here. If you're not happy or you don't have joy day to day, you need to figure out, well, why not? Am I doing something that I don't want to do for a living? Right? Am I not, why aren't I connecting with the people around me? Am I being vulnerable? Am I being open? Am I being, So always think of your life in terms of your inner reality and how well because your inner reality is pouring itself out into the world around you. And you have to let go of control. It's easier said than done, but if you can let go of control, then you'll be a lot happier, I guarantee you. And then you'll find that the universe is supporting you on your journey, because it's just helping you heal. Every plant can heal in the right atmosphere as long as you give it the right conditions. But if the right conditions aren't there, then it won't heal. And so you have to create your own conditions for healing. Nobody's going to do it for you. I think I've said about as much as I want to today about this subject. We'll cover maybe a little bit tomorrow about it, and my precognition of what I believe we're going to go through here in the next 10 years, probably 5 to 10 years, at least in the next year or two. We'll see some things that we've never seen before. There's some nation states that are going to start falling apart because businesses are still, if you're working for somebody, they're codependent on you. And codependency is going to start to go away. People are going to have to realize that they need to be dependent on themselves and the way and who they are. Because whenever you're dependent on somebody else, you never really have to face the things that you need to face to be dependent on yourself. It's a hard thing to realize. But when you're not dependent on yourself and you can depend on somebody else, you don't have to grow. You don't have to do anything, right? You just have to show up. I mean, how many government jobs are out there where all you got to do is just show up for work and people give you a check? That's dependent on a system, and they want it that way because then you're under someone else's control. They control. Until you start to control yourself and understand that you are the controller of your own destiny, then you're under someone else's control. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that for now. Stop putting your energy into people that want to control you, right? Put your energy into yourself. Make yourself, do the things for you that make you happy. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I am doing a series of state of reality videos. I just let go of a karmic video that I think is really important. Karma, I believe, is one of the most important things, because even if you're down on yourself, as long as you're just doing your best not to point the finger at anybody and loving the people around you, then all that karma and that healing comes around back to you. And that's something that I experienced. I didn't realize it for a long time, but I was so down on myself for so many things, and it didn't need to be, right? Because every day is a new day. Yesterday is just yesterday, and things made me feel sad about my external environment, but you can't make choices for anybody else. And, you just always leave the door open. It's like, hey, man, I'm not unfriendly towards anybody. But a lot of times when you start moving forward, you'll lose certain relationships just because people are in different spots, and everybody's on their own journey. So you don't point fingers. You stay open. And you don't know anybody's story, right? You could be doing anything. I like those for whatever reason. I just let them speak to me, right? That one.
like it.
So this card, for me, the Seven of Wands is just working hard, keeping the other sticks at bay. And you notice he's wearing one shoe, and one shoe is different than the other shoe. So he's moving from one place to the next. And he's trying to keep conflict at bay. But then you move into the Six of Wands, where you're kind of running the victory lap. It's funny how the cards go from the Six of Wands to the Seven of Wands. But in my spread here, I've got from the Seven of Wands to the Six of Wands. It's really interesting. So our communities are doing this right now, right? So I'm speaking to the light workers right now, right? And this is a light worker channel. And if you guys are watching this, this is what the light workers are going through right now, right? You're trying to find your balance, and this will lead to your victory lap and your strength, right? This is this infinity sign above the woman who's taming the lion. Strength is something that never goes away. When you get to a place where you're strong no matter what, and you find that place of inner peace, and there's nothing that can disrupt you, you can stay here forever, right? You'll keep taking leaps of faith, and you'll stay strong doing that for forever. Doesn't matter how long. And then you'll always have decisions to make as the Queen of Wands, right? Because the Queen is kind of like the Empress. So she's always making decisions. Okay, which way are we going to go now? So it's like a perfect combination of cards here, where you've got the Fool jumping into making decisions as a community. There's one wand staying on the side, and he's holding one wand, and there's two wands behind him. So it's like you've got choices, and you're looking off into the horizon, and it's a bright horizon, right? You can see it. There's like a glow in front of him, and he's just deciding, or she doesn't. It's like a non-gender person, but they're picking one wand that moves into the Queen of Wands. So think about what that is for you guys. I don't like to try and do personal reading. There's a lot of tarot card readers out there, and I don't like to try and find personal readings. When I'm doing this, especially if I'm posting it on my channel, you're going to see me give overall readings to light workers. I could do individual readings, but I'm always going to be picking up on everything, in the environment. So I think this is a very encouraging draw, right? I mean, there's not one sword in here. It's just all wands and strength and the Fool. So taking action and making things happen in your atmosphere. And they're all good action cards too. So I'm going to leave that with you guys today. Have a blessed Monday. I don't think I'm going to get a cold. I feel better than I did yesterday. But, man, going to the bottom of a waterfall and getting washing machined at the bottom of a waterfall for 15 to 20 seconds and not knowing you're going to come out puts a lot of stress on your head. I mean, it felt like I was standing behind a jet engine. It just going, and blasted me from the front. It just pushed me down. I mean, I have no, I don't need to go over that thing again. And if I did, I think I'll take a deeper breath at the top, right? Or you could put on a scuba suit and jump in and just get washing machine in that thing. But so have a blessed Monday, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.